portal, you wonderful groomers, pet stylists, and canine cosmetologists. You found the Traveling Groomers podcast, where we discuss lessons learned from mobile and house call grooming. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Bear Anthony. Any moment now, we'll be joined by my co-host and friend, retired mobile groomer and educator extraordinaire, Mary Aquendo, and very likely a special guest to help us chat about all things grooming, grooming industry related, and just plain fun digressions that I will totally wrangle back to topic. Grab those travel mugs and climb aboard to see where today's topic will bring us. Let's roll.
Okay, so what we want to discuss today is Chris and I, we're just back from, at the time of recording, we're just back from the Tacoma show. Chris is heading out to Intergroom, okay? And prior to that, we were both at Pasadena, both at Groomed, both at Tacoma. I think I have a couple more live brain cells than Chris at the moment because
I broke. We'll see, at least we're kind of opposite. Like, we've been to all three of those shows, but 2 out of the 3, you were in your correct time zone.
Correct.
Only 1 of those 3, I was in my time zone, and daylight savings time hit in the middle of that.
Oh, I know. I'm
broken right now.
Here's the thing, right? It's always the same Sunday as well now Groom.
Always.
And always, and they schedule the first aid class for like 8:30 in the morning.
I had an 8:30 class too.
I'm dying. I've already done 2 classes and now I got to start an hour earlier. The issue for me going now to Atlanta is that going from west to east is brutal. Yeah. Going from east to west is a little bit better, but west to east is brutal. And part of that reason is because so many of the flights are later. They're either like butt crack dawn early or late. And that's to accommodate flights coming in and out and going to the other coast. So yeah. I ended up with a red eye going into Atlanta, and the hotel so graciously let me check in really early.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
They were actually really nice. They were really nice to me too. I got in early and I went, I know check-in isn't for another like 6 hours. Is there any shot you have a room ready and open? I don't care what kind of room it is. Here's some chocolates.
I gotta get some sleep.
Yeah.
So I was able to, nap for a little bit. And then Angie and I went out to the zoo.
And that tells you how exhausted I was that I slept through the zoo. Like, I was going to be working on a class. And then I went, nah, I need to sleep.
All right, Chris, before we go any further on what we're actually going to talk about.
And I actually was prepared because I realized I had the number written down wrong in my book. But lovely listeners, today's episode is number 205, recorded on March 22nd, and hopefully will be airing on April 15th. Nope, April 5th. Dun, dun, dun. I had taxes on the brain. We'll be airing April 5th.
Okay, so what we want to talk about today is, I think, frustration on all levels regarding the trade show, from the attendees, from the vendors, from the speakers, and you know what, from the trade show directors themselves. And we're not going to touch too much on the frustration that the trade show directors are facing, because that's for another episode next week with Todd.
Yeah, it is.
So
and
we'll get all his perspective next week.
Yes. And I think part of the reason we're doing this is I don't want to be negative. We don't want to bring negativity into things at all. However, I go to so many trade shows. We talk about them all the time, and we talk about how great they are. And there's a lot of people who don't go for various reasons. So we wanted to try to address some of the reasons people don't go. and maybe turn that around.
Right, because it becomes like this vicious cycle. All right, so attendees don't go. So then vendors don't want to go because there's the attendees is down. And then the attendees say, well, there's not a lot of vendors here. Why should I go? And then it really becomes this vicious cycle.
And I'm gonna go out on a ledge for that cycle. And Mary, tell me if you want me to edit this out. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but it's also a vicious cycle for the show promoters, because one of the comments we got was there's repetition with classes. Now,
we'll
discuss that. We'll discuss that later, but the show promoters, it is a business. They are running a business putting on these shows. So if attendees are down, then they make less money, then they have less money to work with to pay big name speakers and to pay the speakers to get them there.
Yeah. So again, it becomes I, for one, do not want to see in-person grooming trade shows go the way of Blockbuster. And for those who are young and like, what's Blockbuster?
Oh no,
exactly. Exactly. That's the point I am making. So I put up a post on Facebook and I wanted to know, why are you not going to trade shows? So we're going to address them. And you know what? And it's one thing to complain and say you can't do it, but to find a solution to make it happen. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now before we do that, do we want to just get one commercial out of the way and just...
We want to get one commercial out of the way. Yes, we do. Hanvey Engineering isn't just for mobile groomers. I have loved my Hanvey equipment for years before I even thought of getting a mobile van, and I wouldn't want to groom without my bathing beauty and hair. With every piece of equipment in their van and outside of it having its own QR code linked to troubleshooting tips and fixes, these low-maintenance workhorses turn potential roadblocks into mere speed bumps. Check them out yourself at hanvey.com.
Okay, so going along with, there's no particular order on what I'm choosing for some of the problems or the reasons why they are not going to trade shows. Yes, Chris?
Wait, hold the presses. I was wrong. Dun, dun, dun. I was wrong about something. This episode is not going to be airing on April 5th because we don't have one in the bank.
That's right. It's going to be airing the 29th.
This episode will be airing March 29th. March 29th.
Yeah, so Chris and I need to get our act together and start getting a couple of episodes in the can.
Well, we had back-to-back trade shows, and our plan, lovely listeners, was
well, there was 2 episodes of Women Peppreneurs that did not go up because of back-to-back trade shows. There's 24 hours in a day. But anyway,
our plan was to get recordings at the trade show and make that into an episode. And like most plans, it didn't survive first contact, punch in the mouth, whatever. It didn't happen. There's 24 hours in a day, man.
Okay, so one of the reasons that people don't go to trade shows is the expense. Okay, so you know what? Okay, valid reason, right? And depending on where your closest show is, maybe the difference between being able to drive to it and being able to, or you have to fly to it. Right. But like anything that is an expense, if you plan for that expense, right, then it's an easier pill to swallow because you have the money for it.
Yeah.
So we should all have education funds, right? But in order to properly put the money in the education fund that you need to know about how much this is going to cost, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So for an in-person trade show, right, there's the cost to get there, okay, whether it's flying or driving, okay. So that should be fairly easy enough to figure out. But if you fly, do you need a rental car? Can you Uber? Is there a shuttle to the airport, to the hotel back and forth? Because not all airports do that. Case in point, Harrisburg, all right, airport does not have a shuttle to the Hershey Hotel. You either have to contact Hershey Hotel and pay for a ride.
The Hershey Lodge, the Hershey Hotel is the fancy Juju one up on the hill. That's the bougie one.
Okay, so the lodge. Regardless, you have to pay for that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's the cost of the rooms. And I will tell you, all right, that the Hershey Lodge is really expensive.
But there's a lot of, once again, if you have a car or factor in Uber or arrange a ride, there's a lot of local hotels that are like a 10-minute drive that are much cheaper.
Yes. Okay. So that is, again, it's going to require a little bit of homework on your part. So knowing where the location is, all right, how are you going to get there? What does that cost to walk up into the convention center? Okay. And then the cost of taking classes, because why else would you go to a trade show? All right. It's for continuing education. All right. And just to throw a couple of little facts at you, where there's tons of business studies done by Forbes and Harvard Business School. And what the conclusion of those is that for every dollar you spend on continuing education, you should expect a 500% return on your investment. So for every dollar you spend, you should be making $5, whether it is because you've learned a new skill, you're faster, you have better equipment, for whatever it is. All right. There's a return on investment for continuing education. Right? So you need to factor what is that continuing education. So you have the hotel room. Where are you going to stay? Are you going to have roommates? So that needs to be factored for the entire time that you're gone. Right. And then there's meals. All right. And again, depending on where you're at, how you want to do that, you can plan, okay, and stop off and you know, get instant breakfasts for the hotel. You can.
Yeah, most hotels either have a fridge in the room or you can request a fridge in the room. And if they don't have a microwave in the room, they'll have like a microwave down the hall.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you can do for a grocery store.
Okay. So there's figuring in the cost of you to eat. All right. And what I'm not factoring in here in this at all is the cost of like equipment and stuff, because that's
shopping.
Shopping's like a different line item.
Numbered.
Okay.
Who reason?
We're just talking.
It's tied with number one, Mary. It's tied.
Okay. So it's still different than figuring out how you're going to pay for this. Okay. Then there is, well, I can't shut my shop down for a week to go do it.
Okay, now I have feelings on this one. Now, if you're saying you can't shut your shop down because you can't afford to shut your shop down, that's very specific. And as someone who identifies as broke, I get that. However, that is something, when you are factoring in your prices, you need to factor in days off and vacation time. So that is what is included in that. You need to plan for that. And if you're saying you're so booked out, you can't because you just can't because your customers own you and run your life and own your soul. Guys, I love you, but I don't buy that one.
Okay. So when you're figuring this out, right? So I know, we all know if we get stuck with an unexpected vet bill, we know how much that hurts. All right. However, if you either have a fund for your dogs, it's not nearly as painful. So let's figure out how you can afford continuing education. Okay. So the first is, and this is good business practices, you need to know how much it costs to run your business, including your salary. Okay. And just like a real simple formula. Okay. And you know what? Whole numbers, people, because it's math and it's already 6:30 at night here. And
it's 9:30 at night here. I had like a brain cell.
Okay. So math people. Okay. Let's just say your business, including your salary. Okay. And all your various funds to run your business. Okay. Total up to $150,000 for the year. Okay. But you want to take a couple of weeks off. So let's say you're going to take only 2 weeks off. One is to go to a trade show and one is to take an actual vacation. So you need to make 150,000 over 50 weeks, not 52.
Not 52, 50 weeks.
Okay. So that is $3,000 a week. Your
And
business.
by the way, there are 5 days in a week in this calculation.
Yes.
5.
Okay. So, and again, easy number math. You're going to have to figure this out for yourself. I cannot tell you how much it costs to run your business and what it costs for you to have a salary. Okay. So over the course of 5 days, then your business has to earn $600 a day. Okay.
For those of you watching, it was warm enough for me to have my sunroof open in my car on the way home, and I just found a leaf in my hair. Yeah. If you're wondering why I look startled, there you
go. So the point being there is that if you know how much you have to make, you know how to price.
Mm-hmm.
So you price in where it's including an education fund. Okay. So let's do some math and figure what it costs to go to a trade show. Chris, I got my calculator here.
Oh, thank God, because that's just math hard.
All right. So you know what? Let's estimate. Okay. Again, you know what? Your mileage may vary. Okay. So let's take a show. Oh, we could take the Hershey show. All right. So for Hershey, that is in more urban areas, it's easier to drive to.
Yeah.
So a local show for Hershey going 6 hours out as a drive in as many directions is a pretty large area. All right. How much is the average car for mileage per gallon? So we could figure out gas first.
I thought we covered no brain cells. What are you doing? I'm Googling this.
Miles divided by 20. So 15 gallons of gas, 15 gallons of gas times, I think the average is 4 right now. $60 in gas one way. So $120. Okay.
Okay.
And let's make it easy numbers. Let's say 150, because you know what, there could be tolls and stuff. Okay. So this is if you're driving.
And that was gas.
That was gas.
Yes. Yeah. Say gas and tolls, $150.
Okay. For driving within a 300-mile radius.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's the hotel. So if you're coming in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, let's say 4 days. All right. And not staying at the lodge, because the lodge is really expensive. Okay. So let's say we go with the other hotels, they're at $200 a night. Does that sound accurate?
No. Hang on.
Hang on. We're doing this in real time, people. Well, he's doing that
because I want to say it's less.
No, but let's figure out a little on the high side. I'd rather figure high than figure low. Okay. So let's say $200 a night and you have a roommate. Okay. So that's $400 for 4 nights. Okay. We're up to $550. The do it all package is what, $400?
I think so.
All right. $400. So we'll go up to a cool 1,000 right now. And you haven't even bought anything. Okay. Now let's go for meals. You need.
Wait, the do it all package includes some meals, I want to say.
Again, I want to figure high.
Oh, shit, you're right. $228.
Yeah.
$228 per night for the Holiday Inn Express, but they give you a breakfast.
So they do give you breakfast. All right, but we'll just leave it at that because we're going to figure meals. So
Okay.
4 days, 3 meals. That's 12 meals I need, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's figure 15 because, coming and going. So the average meal, let's say you're eating out at a restaurant. Let's do $30. Does that sound about right? It's something not too expensive?
Yeah.
Yeah, alcohol, okay?
Not including alcohol at some place that is reasonable. Yes, absolutely. You start getting drinks and that's not happy hour, half off, $5 beers, and you start getting in trouble.
Okay. So food, lodging, education, and gas to get there. All right. I'm going to go 1,500. Okay. Now you're working 50 weeks a year, right? Now I have to do my calculator. Because 1,500 divided by 50, that means $30 a week has to go into an education fund. And if you're grooming 5 days a week, that's $6 a day.
That's how many dollars a day?
$6 a day going into an education fund. And so how are you going to get to your $6 a day? You could use your tips.
Mm-hmm.
You could raise prices on your grooms by $1. Okay. And you can put out, hey, we're raising prices by $1 so that we have the funds to go to educational conferences once a year. Right. And that goes into a separate education fund so that when you go and you put everything on your credit card, as you should, okay, you get points or miles, however you want to do it. But when the bill comes, you have money in an education fund to now pay for it.
And it's tax deductible.
And it's all tax deductible. We are not accountants. Talk to your
accountant. And I know I've heard of shops that will put out a special tip jar for that, or they'll say, the price increases for the education fund, and they'll talk about this convention coming up, and they'll say, oh, the shop is closed for these 5 days because the entire staff is going for continuing education because we want to learn the latest tips and products on how to take care of your dog. And it's how you present things to customers. Yes, you can close for that time. Sorry, soapbox tangent alert.
Okay. So anyway, so that's one problem, correct? I think we well enough. And here's the thing. We like to hear your feedback on this. Okay.
But there's more to it than that. And I am going to take a commercial break and then go into we make it sound that easy. It's not always that easy. And we know that. Let me press a button. I've been swiveling for years now with my Evolution shears, but I wasn't actually born with a pair of swivel shears in my hands. Check out our website and Facebook page for our library of how-to videos, or give me a shout for a personalized guide. Your hands will thank you. Don't forget, Traveling Groomers Podcast listeners get $10 off and free shipping with the code On The Road, all one word. What are you waiting for? Give them a try today.
All right, and let's not forget the free education that's available at conferences?
Oh, there's so much. There's demos at booths. There's just watching some of the competitions. Oh, I sneeze. Whoa. I hope that muted.
Yes, it muted.
Okay, I was going to say otherwise. I'd edit that out. There's a lot of free education at conferences, but what I was alluding to before the break is I know that there's a lot of people who don't have control of the prices. They may be single parents, they may have childcare issues, they may have pet care issues. I get that it's only that easy on paper.
Yes.
So what my answer to that is, if you can't make every year, then make it every other.
Now, yes. Okay.
Because it's still better than nothing.
It's still, it's still better than. Okay. So at the very least, you should be shooting for every other year to go to a trade show. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to fly into, because your local trade show is like 14 hours away, that's not a reasonable drive, and you're going to have to fly in. So, again, now that number is going to change.
Not unless you're from the Midwest. God bless all y'all out there. I went to the Teton show last year and they're like, oh, this was great. It was only like a 12, 13-hour drive. Just like nothing.
Yeah.
Like, tell me you're from the Midwest without telling me you're from the Midwest.
Yeah. So the Tacoma show for me, with no traffic and the Hood Canal Bridge being in the down position, it's an hour and a half. I drove out to the Teton show last year and it was 14 hours for me to get there. And I drove because I had stuffed dogs to bring for the first day class.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
By the way, another reason to go to trade shows is occasional shenanigans, because I fully remember what position all those dogs were in when you walked into the room the next morning ready to give the class. Yeah. There were some doggy styles going on.
Okay, so all right, so another problem, right?
Mary just keeps going. She just keeps going. Go on.
Listen, I have 3 teenage daughters. You would be really hard pressed to get me to stop and my jaw hit the ground.
Yeah, no, I know your jaw's not going to hit the ground. I'm just laughing at that kind of bedraggled mother. You're like, just anyway, let's just continue. Let's ignore the child.
Moving it along. All right. Because my youngest daughter made it her life's mission. I think she finally gave up. All right.
Is that Amanda?
No, Cindy.
Oh, okay.
Cindy made a real effort to get me to like yell at her or have my jaw open up or whatever. She made a real effort to do that.
Oh, didn't work, huh?
Didn't work. But anyway, so moving it along. So the next problem that people were talking about was the repetitiveness of the classes. And we're going to say yes and no. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are different classes. I mean, you may have to flip through the book and see. I mean, at Tacoma, for the first time ever, Meg Iafredo did working with, how to add Canva to your social media, how to work with Canva. Right? I've never seen that class being held anywhere before.
I was really impressed, and I heard good things.
Yeah. I know my business classes are not repeated either. So 2 business classes I did this year at Tacoma were different from the 2 business classes I did last year. And in next year, it'll be different from it'll be different classes. Even if it's the same type of class, there's different perspectives from different people.
Oh, yeah. There were there were 2 classes about ergonomics and stuff at the Teton show, but they were wildly different classes and both were awesome and valid.
Yeah. So there's something to be said about take a really good look at the description of the class, because while it may appear to be the same, it may not be the same. Okay. And on the flip side, even if things are the same, there are things that are just simply skills that just simply bears repeating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Terry does her bather brusher class literally at every single trade show because it's an important class.
Yeah. And we have new bathers coming in all the time. We have groomers that take it and go, okay, is there something I don't know? Is there something I missed? Let's go back and look at the basics.
And, and the instructors learn something different. So I did my mobile grooming certification class at Hershey last year. I did it again at Pasadena, and I did it again at Tacoma. So 3 different shows. I've changed the workbook and the presentation 3 different times because of things I've learned from it to make the program better. So that program that you took last year may not even be the same program anymore. It might, but it may not.
Yeah. I mean, I know my ergonomics class has changed a little bit every time I give it. It's changed just because I learn new things. You know what I mean? When I first wrote the class, there was one of the principles of ergonomics. It wasn't minimize fatigue and static load. And one of the examples of static load I gave was holding on to like the hair on the chinny chin of that land shark that wants to kill you. Because you're not moving, you're not lifting something, you're just pressing. And I had to update that as I learned new things and techniques and I'm trying to transition out of holding dogs like that and holding them by their chin hair. Because when I was taught grooming, that's just what you did. That's just how we were taught. And now we're like, hey, they don't like that. Maybe they're not trying to be dicks about their face. That's uncomfortable. And we're learning new ways. So I've put that in and changed that.
Okay. All right. So I know that if I ever got a Bichon, I'm going to take every single Bichon class that's out there because I'm going to learn different things from different instructors, things that they think is important, but maybe another instructor does not think. It's not their focus. Okay. And if there's things you want to see at a trade show, you need to let the trade show directors know that. Right. I'm hoping to start seeing some workshops on neurodiversity at upcoming trade shows. Right. And that's a conversation I have with the trade show directors, because if they don't know you want the class, then they're just going to go based on the evaluations that they get, whether or not people actually like the classes that are already being offered. And here, take a commercial, because I want to discuss on those who think, well, I have something to teach, but I can't. So I want to touch.
I get out of my head. I was just like, I have to totally do that. I love being a house call groomer, but I hate doing laundry or worrying about asking my clients for fresh towels. Gray Pet has solved those problems for me with the Wet Pet disposable towel, taking up much less space than traditional cotton towels and easy to wring out and reuse. These super soft, comfy, absorbent towels eliminate any cross-contamination concerns between pets. And now their new smaller washcloth size Can even help those sensitive eye areas. Great for cleaning out wrinkles gently and thoroughly. Need to keep water bowls for your clients on hand that are easy to disinfect, but hate all the room traditional clanky metal bowls take up? Or just have a very active pet? Their collapsible silicone bowl comes with an aluminum D-ring hook that can be attached to your pet's leash or anywhere else in your van for easy storage. You can get one by itself or in their handy travel kit, along with a set of 3 tick removers and 1 small wet pet towel. So stop by their website to check it out, raypet.net, and tell them the Traveling Groomer sent you. And I just wanted to point out that part of the reason they're a sponsor is because I was at Hershey and they give out samples, and they're like small towels. It's not like huge things as samples because they're pricey, but they gave out a sample, and I was a brand new house call groomer. And I had just been having the discussions with my husband, like, I really don't want to be doing laundry, like dog hair laundry in my washing machine. It's not that great a washer. I don't want to kill it and have it die an early death. So I had the client supply towels, but I was grooming a cat and I tried that out, and I immediately called them and ordered a case because I was like, this is great.
Okay.
Go, Mary.
So
we got our royalty on now.
All right. So there's a need for new perspectives and new blood coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, don't be afraid to submit an idea to the trade shows. However, it still needs to be something that's well thought out. And if you think you can't teach, you're wrong. Okay. I can remember, again, well-intended, okay, from people in the industry who welcomed me with open arms as a fellow, educator, but they're like, you can't make a living doing this. All right. And yeah, don't tell me I can't do something. Figure out how to do that. But anyway, the point being, right, is that I took the time to learn how to be an educator. All right. Just like everyone learns how to groom, learns how to bathe. It's a skill set, and you can do it, right? But you know what? It's a different skill set. And so if you want to teach, don't be afraid to teach. Okay. In fact, I got a workshop retreat coming up in July. Okay. So if you want to do it, don't sit and think, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Yes, you can. Okay. You don't have to be a groom team competitor to teach. I think that is a big misconception.
I absolutely agree. I give them all the credit in the world, because that is a lot of, that's a lot they put into that. They put blood, sweat, tears, time, money. It's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole other podcast and what it takes to be a competitor. Okay. But what I'm saying is, you could still be a fabulous groomer and decide you don't want to compete. And that's fine, because that's a whole other expense and life upheaval to do something like that. And it doesn't make you, well, I can't teach because of that. No, that's not true. Teach. Okay. So the other thing that
branding is, you have your Groom Expo mug, and we have our,
I still got coffee in. I'm like out of creamer, and good thing I'm going shopping tomorrow, because that's a problem. So anyway, where was I? All right. So the other issue, I don't know, somewhere, and we're not even like really digressing. We are like sticking to topic. We deserve like cupcakes or something.
Oh no, I have planned digressions. Like, there were things that weren't topic related that I 100% wanted to talk about. Okay.
So the next, hurdle is either childcare or pet care. Okay. And yes, sometimes you can't pull kids out of school. Okay. And sometimes kids, you may not have a significant other, or even, a supportive significant other to watch the kids, or even somebody to watch your kids that you trust. And not all kids really could or should go to a trade show if being there is so overwhelming to them.
Mhm.
Nor can you just like lock your kid in the hotel room and expect them to stay there if they're anything about, yeah. They can unlock a door. So,
Yeah.
so that's, you know, and that's a very valid deterrent. I mean, if you cannot bring your kids to a trade show, whether it's because it's inappropriate, they won't do well, or they got to go to school, or for whatever 1,000 reasons, you can't bring your kids to a trade show. And we see a lot of kids there. We do. But again, it's not appropriate for all kids. Right?
That's true.
Right. And so I don't have any help for you for that. If that's a reason, that's a really valid reason for not going. Okay. The only thing around that might possibly is to go with other parents in your predicament or your situation, and you take time off to like babysit, like you watch the kids from 8 to 4 or 8 to 12, and then you watch them from 12 to 4. But that still then requires you being able to trust your kids with somebody you may not know. All right. And then there's the other issue of pets. Okay. Some of us have a lot of pets. Okay. I know that if I had to board my dogs to go to a trade show, I wouldn't be going to a lot of them.
Some of us have pets that are very attached and miss us when we are away for a lot of time.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would be Pooh Bear here, who has not left. He's had an eyeball on me since I've been wherever I am, he is. If I just get up to walk over there, he's going to walk over there too. Where you going? You going somewhere?
Loki is also just, oh, you want to be on mic too.
Right. So pet care may be an unreasonable expense. Okay. Some people bring their pets. Theoretically, okay, you're not supposed to bring pets into convention centers or hotels unless they're either the demo dogs or they're service dogs. And please do not get us started on using service dogs in the manner they are not supposed to be used in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It makes it really difficult for people who need a service dog that they're questioned all the time. Mindy, how many times has Mindy nearly taken her leg off? Over Luke.
Twice just this last trip.
Okay. So
yeah.
Yeah, so Luke is a mobility dog for Mindy. Okay. And she needs him. But you know,
she did it. Oh, sorry. And I wasn't even there, and she did it, and she like pulled up her pant leg and smacked her leg and said, "Here's my paperwork." And I was so mad that I missed it because I wanted to film it. And I told her the next time she does that, I'm filming it, because I'm simultaneously like, it makes me angry. And it's a little funny at the same time that she does that. But the reason she gets those, and we can rail and be angry all we want, but the reason she gets that grief is because of people abusing the system with fake service dogs that they can't control, that cause issues.
So, all right.
I got claws in my side now.
You can't always just leave pets in a hotel room, because you know what? They bark and they're annoying people. So the whole, you know what? I can't, because I have this many dogs. I don't have somebody to come walk them. To bring them to a boarding facility to go to this can be expensive. However, if you're motivated, then that's an expense of going to a trade show, and you factor that into your overall cost. so that when you're planning to put money aside, it covers the cost of boarding.
So Mary,
Yes.
apparently we're pet sitting this weekend for her neighbor. I'm not
very fussy about where my dogs go. I am really lucky that I have someplace good here. And I'm just going to give a little shout out to Shelley at Country Paws here in Squim, who I trust to take care of my dogs.
Well, I got a text at like 10:30 last night from our neighbor, and she's like, "Hey, Chris, this is so-and-so with, Zeus," and who was Alec's best friend. And what had happened was, and I called it correctly, because afterwards I said, "So your mom went, oh, and you think you're just leaving the dog here and I'm taking care of the dog? I don't think so." And she went, she's like, "LOL, you got it in one." But she had an opportunity to go away for the weekend. And my husband, in a shocking turn of events, said yes. Because it's Alaric's best friend. And he went into dad mode.
Okay. Okay.
Very.
So I've seen, people with like house full of dogs come up in a motor home with their dogs. Okay. And that's not necessarily easy to find parking for.
No. And it's not easy to find parking for. And what people don't realize is you do need to leave the generator running all the time if you need to have AC or heat on for the dogs. So that's a gassing issue.
Okay. So anyway, I mean, there's, like I said, really, really valid reasons for not going. And you know what? Still valid reasons, but things to work around so that you could figure out how you can get the continuing education we need as professionals.
Yeah.
Okay. And while sometimes it's really difficult for people like me and Chris to take classes at trade shows because they keep us fairly busy. So Chris being, part of Evolution Cheers, and a lot of my classes are full day classes. That doesn't leave a whole lot of time. It doesn't mean I don't make an attempt to take a class, or B, figure out around me, how do I still get continuing education? I love the trade shows. I really adore them. When looking for product, I mean, I would never buy a pair of scissors if I couldn't hold them in my hand first. And that's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And the same thing with clippers. And, seeing, I mean, we want the vendors to be there because that's where we see new products, and we want to continue to see new products. How would I really and truly know about the Trade Saver if Tommy and Kemlin weren't at a trade show?
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember when they were at the Chicago show and they were still bringing the bullet riddled groomer's wall with them, because to strength test it, they shot it with a shotgun. And it was kind of full of shot, but it held up.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Shout out on the side.
Did we cover all the reasons why? And honestly, the trade shows
Not all.
No, probably not, but I think we covered the major ones. All right. There were some other issues with sometimes the behavior of people at shows.
Ooh, let's take another commercial because we have 2 more to get through, and you pull up your list then, but while we do that. Everything else in the world seems to have changed. Positive Ed has too, but for the better. Online learning is here to stay, and Positive Educational Training has brought the trade show to you with Summit memberships. For one monthly price of $97, you get 6 to 10 hours of content streamed live to your sofa, or let's be honest, grooming table. Forgot to attend live? No problem. You have 6 weeks to watch at your convenience. That's 3 weeks more than non-members, and for up to $50 less than non-members paid. With a monthly support call and summits tailored to the pet industry and designed to include all learning styles, what are you waiting for? Check out positiveed.com today and get the support you need to take action in your business.
Okay, so I am looking for the post. Can't find it. Oh, here we go. I found it. So I got, on my profile, I got 75 comments on this. Okay. Hey, Chris, you there?
I am here. I wanted to say another reason that I like the in-person things is sometimes we have blinders on. So I wanted to pick up some new products for Alaric, some, fancy shampoos for him, because I wanted him to be prepped super well for Melissa Jepson. And I said, Mindy, I'm going to give you my card. Go over to ISB. I know you use that stuff on Luke. Get some stuff. Here's your dollar limit. And I was talking to her and talking to someone else. And they're like, well, he's how old? Oh, so he's going through coat change soon. I'm like, no, his coat's pretty good. He's doing fine. They're like, okay, well, he will be. No, he will be. So okay. I got home. What was that?
Okay, no, continue. I'm listening.
Oh, so I get home and I realize that I'm a derp as well as my dog, because I'll recognize it in my clients' dogs, but not in mine. I just blamed myself for not brushing him enough when all of a sudden, like, his chest and parts of his legs are just like matted. And I brushed him out, and 2 days later, they're matted again. And I'm like, whoa, I'm doing something wrong. Different brush and different products. And I'm like, he's fucking going through coat change. What kind of special stupid am I? I didn't even, because it's my dog, and I looked at it. I haven't had a look. This is my first long-haired puppy, okay? The last time I had anything approaching a puppy, they're both smooth coats, so that's my excuse. But talking to people about products and the products that are there is huge.
Okay.
But okay, go ahead. You found it.
So a couple more things. Another big issue is that, and maybe the trade show directors will disagree with this, too many people. Okay, overwhelmed. Trade shows are high energy. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of knowledge going on in the classes. And, for some people, this honestly and truly can be overwhelming. So I know people who go to trade shows who are easily overwhelmed, and they make sure that they stay at the hotel that it's being held at, so that if it's a little bit too much for them, they can go up to their room, lights off, sensory deprived, and just chill out, and then come back in when they've calmed down. Again, not always an option for people, but to understand this, it's why we come home from the trade shows and we are exhausted.
Oh, there are days.
It's also why you get sick easier at trade shows. Is because you're going. You're up, your energy level is like up here, okay? And you're probably not eating the best you should. Your immune system is tanking, especially if you're adding now that stress of being around too many people, it's easier to get sick. It's why so many people come home with trade show crud, is because they put themselves in a situation where their immune system is down, they're stressed, they're tired, they're not eating well, and just anything that's going around.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I actually got con crud after Pasadena, and it freaked me out. And I tested like several times because, after 2020, we kind of forgot that regular colds existed.
Yeah. I know, right? But it's just a cold. It's
really just a cold, and I'm having a coughing fit, and everybody's looking at me like Typhoid Mary over there. Sorry, Mary.
That's okay.
And
another complaint is that the classes overlap. All right. Or they have 3 classes going on at the same time, and you have to pick one.
Okay. And that's also why there's some repetitiveness. If there's 4 classes going on at the same time, unless you are that marvelous person who brought your 3 employees and you say you each go in a class and take notes, there's going to be a class that you wanted to take, but you didn't.
Yeah. There's one class in particular I've been trying to take for years.
What class is that?
Dr. Quinlan's got a sanitation class. It's like a 2-hour class, and I would like to take that.
Oh,
you know what? I teach sanitation too. And you know what? I might learn something to make my program a little bit better. So I've been meaning to take his class for 2 years. And he normally teaches that class at either Super Zoo or well, Groomed now. And it's always, there's a lot of things. Most classes are on while I'm doing first aid, because we're doing 3 classes. It's a 5-hour class. And by the way, Super Zoo is coming up. That class sells out really quickly. So if you're going to Super Zoo and you want to take the first aid class, I would sign up for that as soon as possible. There is always a waiting list for that particular class. But anyway, I've been wanting to take it, and it's just always while I'm teaching, and I have not, and it's been years I've been trying to take that class.
I'm also going to say, if you're going to be in the area, or if you're going to the Teton show, Mary, you're teaching that class there as well, right?
Right, at the Teton show. And the classes are already filling up for the first aid. So again, it fills up quickly. So if you want to take the pet first aid class, and you want to go to the Idaho show, I would sign up sooner rather than later.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool, neat stuff at that show. And I'm not just saying that because I'm helping a bit in putting it on, and I'm doing some behind the scenes stuff, but there's some very cool, like, holistic things going on with that show. We're having our holistic hangouts in the morning. Mary, did we talk about that?
No, we did not.
Oh my God. Okay, so
come get Cecil. He's being annoying now.
Okay, so
just for a warning right now, when it comes to get Cecil,
there's going to be barking.
No, there's going to be Pooh trying to kill him, because Pooh is still mad at Ernesto. Apparently it's his fault. I was gone for 2 weeks. But anyway.
Clearly. So I'm hoping that weather permits, that we're going to be able to do this outside, because the current venue for the Idaho show is, the hotel is like on the banks of a river, like literally on the river bank. And there's this gorgeous lawn. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to do it out there, but we're going to have holistic hangouts in the mornings where and it's totally free to any attendee. We're going to have like yoga and singing bowls and Reiki shares and, all kinds of stuff in the morning. So I'm so looking forward to that. And I am going to be wearing tie-dyed hammer pants for some of it.
That's worth the trip to Idaho just for that.
I have to find a picture of these pants. I haven't tried them on yet. Our daughter gave them to me for Christmas because she's like, they reminded me of you. And I was like, they're beautiful. And I'm like, those mornings are what these pants were made for.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to that. I will actually bring since I'm driving, I could bring my crystal bowls in.
Yeah. I'm not bringing my big crystal one. I don't think.
I would not fly these bowls.
I flew with that one, but it was as a carry-on, and there was a lot of styrofoam original packing involved.
Crystal bowls are really expensive.
Yes.
So yeah, mine are not flying. Mine only go if they can drive.
Mm-hmm. But I have a lovely brass one that's supposed to be really, really old.
Do we have one more commercial?
We do. But that's okay. I had another digression that's perfect for our wrap up.
Oh, that's good, because we've been really good about sticking to topic.
Right. That's why I haven't gotten to it.
You know, I'm sure people are like, excuse me, where are all the digressions? You guys stuck to topic. Is something wrong? Are you not feeling well?
Well, no, we're fucking tired.
Seriously, we are really tired.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. Where is that button there? And speaking of continuing education, because we either were or will be, join the Andis World-Class Education Team each month for live interactive virtual classes. You'll learn new and trending styles, as well as tips and tricks from some of the best groomers in the industry. Whether you're looking for basic skills, trending styles, advanced techniques, or even just ways to spark your creativity, the new Andis Grooming Education site is your source for finding what you need to create your way for success. Try new techniques, learn from the pros, and grow your confidence today at andis.com/groomer education. Traveling Groomer podcast listeners, hey, that's you, can get 25% off your first course today with the code VEGROOMING at checkout on andis.com/groomer education.
Okay, so
we were just talking about continuing education. What?
Okay. So just for upcoming podcasts regarding this topic, which we think is a fairly important topic. All right, so next week we're going to have Todd on, and I think after that we're going to maybe get a couple of vendors. So maybe we can get a vendor or two on here to discuss from like their perspective.
Mm-hmm. That sounds cool.
Okay. I honestly think we should have like a round table.
Yeah.
You know what, to get speakers, the trade show directors, some vendors, and discuss this, because the other thing we didn't talk about is, and maybe we'll save it for when we do the vendors, is from a speaker's perspective going to a trade show.
Ooh, yeah. Because I know we talk about that a lot off air, and I know that's been talked a lot about recently. So I want to touch on that. But I like the idea of a roundtable. I also think we should get on some people from the smaller shows, from some of the independent shows, just to discuss.
We should have like this huge, well, maybe not too huge, because
I gotta edit that nonsense.
Yeah, you know what, and
I say we make that a special live episode.
I would say make that a special live episode.
Can we stream on YouTube live yet?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. No. Then we set that for like.
But also, if we switch our host to Podbean, they allow we could live from them as well.
Excellent. I like it. So the planned digression, because it kind of hit me in Atlanta when I was talking to somebody who listens to the podcast. And by the way, one of the things I absolutely love about trade shows, and there's only about a gazillion of them, is I love when I'm at the Evolution booth and somebody comes up and they're like, "Oh, we love the podcast, and we love listening to it, and it makes us laugh during the day." And I'm like, "Yes, apparently my goal is to make people laugh." But still, whenever I record this in my head, it's like I'm talking to you, Mary, and maybe 10 people. You know what I mean? So in my head,
no, I'm fully aware there's more people listening.
I think somewhere in my brain, I'm aware that there's more. I mean, logically, I know there's more than 10. We're still doing this. We have sponsors that are willing to give us money, but it never clicks. So that's part of the reason I overshared. So it wasn't until Atlanta that somebody commented, and I'm like, "Oh," because they were like, "Yeah, I've been listening since like the very first episode, or big fans." And I just went, "You know a lot about my life." like the realization hit me in real time. And they were just like, "Yeah." And I thought about that, and I thought about why I tend to overshare and all the stuff I'm going through. And this is actually going to relate to our main topic. But the reason I do that is it's going to be extra awkward, because I'm not trying to say that I'm anybody super special in the industry, even though I'm a speaker and people know who I am and I have a podcast. But to me, I'm just a groomer. I'm a groomer who supports her family, who shit happens to. Health crises happen to, pet health crises happen to, floods happen. And when people become speakers and competitors and all of that, it's easy to forget that they're also people that shit happens to. So I am always going to overshare on this podcast. And there's very little I'm not going to talk about regarding my life, because if I can make one person go, "Oh, it's not just me, shitty stuff occasionally happens too."
Well, I've shared a whole lot less than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I like to think my life still has some mystery to it.
There's probably
you know more.
Do I have mystery? I know more. I'm like, do I have mystery? I don't. Now the next thing is, do I really care? Because there's a difference. I can share, and you can know a lot about a person and still not know them. So I'm good. I still consider all the listeners, friends. We're on good terms. I still want to hear from all of y'all at the booth or on Facebook. So I'm going to continue to overshare.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. And on that note, Mary.
Yes.
Part of the reason I was like 3-4 minutes late to the podcast today was I had a slightly larger dinner than I intended to, and my medication told me about it. And I wanted to be sure that I didn't have to go hit pause on everything and run to the bathroom in the middle of the podcast. Because Ozempic will do that to you.
Yeah. I realized it was probably this Coma show, because we were talking about Pooh Bear. And one of the things I say is I got poo in my shirt. POOH, people.
Pooh Bear, POOH.
In my
Oh my
shirt.
God. Oh,
And
it's
just all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've been saying that.
You've been saying that.
And I think maybe from now on, I need to like clarify that a little bit. Pooh Bear is in my shirt, right? Pooh Bear.
Well, now that we're on YouTube, it's a lot easier because people can watch and they can watch his head, little head pop. Oh, look at that look of love.
Yes.
And they could see that thing that just happened.
He's going back to sleep. He's tired.
Okay, that works.
The little ear starting to.
So yeah, we really have just scratched the surface of the trade show talk. And I think we can address people's reasons for not going, and we can address the negativity without being dismissive of their reasons. Hopefully, we never want to be dismissive of anyone, but we also don't want to be negative. Yeah.
So yes, there's always going to be a valid reason for not going. I mean, there are from the speaker end here. So I could do a lot more trade shows, but no is a complete sentence.
Mm-hmm.
You can overextend yourself. There's always a valid reason for not doing something. But I firmly believe for every problem, there is a solution. May not be a solution you want, but there's a solution. Oh,
I had some really in-depth talks with my boss this morning, meaning I was talking to myself, because I took the red eye back home and took Monday off.
Wednesday going west to east is brutal.
And then jumped back into work to Tuesday. I landed Monday morning. I got home 6:37 a.m. I don't remember what time I got in. I got in Monday morning and I went back to work Tuesday. And I was dragging ass this morning so hard. And I'm like, what would I tell my people taking my class?
Yeah.
Not to do this shit. And I just, I texted my first appointment at like 10:40 and was like, I'm still coming. I promise.
So sometimes it's just getting back into the swing of things. So I was trying to like catch up to my to-do list because, I was gone for like 2 weeks. Nothing's getting done at a trade show, so I don't even try. But yeah, on Tuesday, and I was back on Sunday. On Tuesday, I'm looking like, and I'm dragging my ass. Mm-hmm. I think I got like 2 items done off my list, and that was about it. But whatever, there were 2 items off, but it took me like all day to do them. Tasks that really should have taken me maybe an hour a piece.
I did on the way to Seattle. I edited the last week's podcast that aired.
Okay, plane and air, I don't know what it is about airports and planes. I can actually get work done on planes and airports. Tacoma, however, is a local show. Unless I'm just gonna like go through for security for the hell of it. It's not really conducive.
Yeah, they don't want you to go through security for the hell of it.
They don't want me there. Okay.
You need a boarding pass. Oh, and by the way, shout out to everyone, all the employees at SeaTac. There was, I don't know if it was a bomb scare or an unattended package that got exploded, but things happened. There was a thing. And I was convinced that I was either going to miss my flight or my flight was going to be delayed because the lines were so long for security. And some flights were delayed right around the time that happened, but they were moving us. Like the line was so long, but it was moving so fast. I got to my gate just in time, and the flight was on time. Astonished. So good job, guys.
Okay. So on that note,
let us know how you feel about trade shows, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll talk about it in the upcoming weeks. And safe travels, guys. Well, that was fun, but now it's time to head home. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed chatting with you. If there are any topics you'd like us to discuss or guests you want to see join us on this crazy road trip of ours, let us know in the Traveling Groomers Facebook page. Don't forget to thank our sponsors. And see you next week, guys. Safe travels.